We're going to test this residual current device known as an RCD, sometimes referred to as a safety switch. It is a test button and a reset button, and for personal protection this is set for a sensitivity of 30 milliamps. The instrument I'm going to use for testing this RCD is the UniT multifunction tester model UT593AU. I'm going to use the auto function and show you how this meter stacks up for this test. First thing we need to do is down here on F4 is where we set up the current for our test. 10 milliamps, 30 milliamps, 100 milliamps for type S RCD. I'm going back to the 30 milliamp setting because this one is a 30 milliamp sensitivity RCD. It's a portable RCD, very popular. Also, the setting allows for the 0 and 180, so I can start my test at the beginning of the cycle, or I can start at the beginning of the negative half of the cycle. This recall here, F3, is where we're going to pull back the results after the auto function is carried out. So we're in auto function now. I'm going to press the test button. Once I reset the RCD, you can see it's reset here because we have the orange indicator. That was a little warning to tell me that the RCD was not active. So now when I press my test, it'll carry out the test. So the first test is done at half the rated leakage current at 0 degrees, then at 180 degrees. Now it's just gone to the ×1 on 180 degrees, and I'm just going to reset. And reset again. And reset again. And reset again. And it has carried out the tests. So the test that it carries out is a half the rated leakage current, where it should not trip out, because that would be regarded as a nuisance tripping. At 1 times the leakage current, which would be 30 milliamps, and then at 5 times the leakage current, which would be 150 milliamps. So now we're going to go back through and recall the readings. So it timed out at greater than 2000 milliseconds on 0 degrees, which is excellent. It didn't trip. That's at half the rated current. At 180 degrees, it also timed out at half the rated current and did not trip. At ×1, at 0 degrees starting, it tripped at 24 milliseconds. This, by regulation, has to trip within 300 milliseconds. And it tripped at 24 milliseconds, so that's good. At 180, though, it tripped at 27 milliseconds. We take the longest time as the actual record. So we put down 27 milliseconds at ×1, which is well within the 300 milliseconds that we are permitted to have. At ×5, we have to trip within 40 milliseconds. And it is tripped out at 17 milliseconds at 0 degrees. And at 180 milliseconds, so at 180 degrees, 18 milliseconds. So that is also well within the 40 milliseconds permitted. So that is using the UniT multifunction tester model UT593AU for testing the safe operation of a 30 milliamp leakage sensitivity portable RCD, residual current device. The next test I'm going to show is the ramp test. This test, and I set this back to 0 degrees, this test is going to give us the current, the leakage current that it actually does trip out at. So press the test function. and it tripped out at 21 milliamps at 0 degrees. Now I reset. Let's reset again. Now I move to 180 degrees. This is 180 degrees. Test again. This time it's tripped out at 21 milliamps. So that's using the ramp function for the actual tripping current, and I find the auto function is the nicest way to do the tripping times and then play them back using the recall. It's a nice little multifunction tester, costing around about $900 New Zealand, and pretty competitive pricing compared to the more expensive Flukes and Mega examples of multifunction testers. So one you might want to consider. Thank you for watching, and hope this has given you a little bit of clarity on how we'd go about testing with some information feedback from the safety device called an RCD. We can legally just trip it by pressing the test button, that one there, and that is a legal test to check its operation. But by using the actual RCD tests, we get a lot more information on the actual operation of the RCD, which can be useful, especially to provide to a customer. One of the functions also of the portable RCD, when resetting it, is that if I unplug it, it trips out as well. I've got a double pole switch in here to switch out the phase and the neutral conductors. So that is another way of testing that this is not frozen, just by removing it from the supply, and it drops out. When I reconnect it to the supply, it's a 230 volt 50 hertz supply, I have to do the reset first to energize and close the two contacts and provide power output to my appliance. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has been some use to you if you're thinking about doing a higher level of testing of an RCD other than just pressing the test button. The same tests would be carried out for an RCCB or an RCBO that may be switchboard mounted. We would just plug the multifunction tester into the socket outlet of that particular circuit and carry out the same tests.